I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request from Jump in Galaxies. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in sending any other requests for pretty much anything out of the blue, review or topic or reaction or whatever, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And he wanted to ask me, what do I feel is the best year in wrestling? And I really couldn't answer that for a while. I really had to sit there and think. I don't know what the best year would be. I don't know what my favorite year would be. Because there's a lot of years in the 80s. Like if you talk about Royal Rumbles, I love the Royal Rumble where Ric Flair won. And you look at the collection of people that were in that. I think that was 1992 Royal Rumble. I feel like you had WrestleManias. I really like... for example, I really like WrestleMania 7. I actually quite enjoy the Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior match, among others. So I say, I go, okay, for a full year, I would probably pick 1998. Which I know is ironic, because I did a video not too long ago about Vince Russo, and to be fair, Vince Russo had a hand in it, because he was a writer during that time. I still don't like Vince Russo. If you like him, that's cool. I still don't like him. I don't like a lot of his Jerry Springer Crash Course writing. I'm not a fan of Jerry Springer. I'm not a fan of a lot of stuff he did. Val Venus, I didn't care about. I didn't care about Chop Your PP Off. DX, I've never been a DX guy. You sucked it. Yeah, I did suck it. Sucked me, sucked my balls. I did it. I like Sean Waltman. I like Shawn Michaels as a performer, not really as a person. Triple H, I could never give a rat's ass about. Nipple H. But the reason I picked 1998... So yeah, I'm not a fan of Russo. I do think he's a guy that... he puts too much credit to himself for the success, where at the time there's a lot of other people. Yeah, it was a whole conglomeration of Kevin Nash, Scott Hall going to WCW, being the Outsiders, NWO, joining with Hulk Hogan, Hogan deciding to join them and be a villain, the whole NWO thing, that had a hand in it, because then that made WWF go, we gotta do something different. Yes, Russo helped in that, to be fair, but also you had the talent. You had, before that, before Russo, you had the Montreal Screwjob. You had Vince McMahon being a bad guy. You had Bret Hart being a villain, before that, before the Montreal Screwjob, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in one of the best WrestleMania matches, with the blood coming down Steve Austin's face. Yeah, one of the best wrestling matches. That had a big part of it as well. That was before, Russo and all that stuff. Bret Hart being a villain, Steve Austin being that guy. And then the Montreal Screwjob, all that stuff. Again, WCW, NWO saying, hey, WWF, you gotta rise your game. And then having the talent, The Rock, Steve Austin. Again, these guys at McMahon, those talents really helped a lot. Again, to be fair to Russo, he had a hand in it, yes. I just think it's not as much as he himself thinks it is. That's just the way I look at it. But 1998, the reason I picked the year is, I did 1997, you had this build-up. You had this sort of, Bret Hart being the villain. Steve Austin, that battle between the two. Again, the WrestleMania match, the Montreal Screwjob, like all this stuff. Okay, Vince McMahon. Now people look at him as the big villain, the corporation. Again, this build-up. And then, Steve Austin, again, in 1998. Kind of got to the pinnacle with 98, 99. And in my opinion, I think it went downhill after that. And to this day, hasn't recovered. Because while there's a lot of good stuff here, when you keep hot-shotting it, people have seen everything. There's nowhere else to go. Once you've let the cat out of the bag, once you reach the peak, can you really get back to that point? Some people say, they love the year 2000 or the John Cena years. I'm not a fan of John Cena. I'm not a fan of those years. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean there's some good parts in between, to be fair. Rey Mysterio, others. But then you look at wrestling today, and even the worst days, like, as much as make fun of Russo, yes, his WCW days are still better than AEW and WWF of today. I'm not really much a fan of him as a person. In my opinion, I do think Vince Russo is the guy who will smile in your face, and when you turn, he'll stab you in the back. That's how I perceive him. Jim Cornette, at least, he'll give you a middle finger to your face and tell you, thank you, fuck you, bye, to your face. Vince Russo, I do think he's the guy who's, hey bro, hey the bro, hey, we're bros, bro. And then when you turn around, that's just how I view it. You don't have to agree with it. But okay, why do I go on to 1998? I mentioned before, the build of 1997, then you did 1998. Previously in 1997, Austin stuns Vince McMahon. You go, oh shit. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, I do think, became the most popular wrestling star, especially at that time. You could easily argue of all time, whether you want to talk about box office wise or just popularity wise. And that's really the pinnacle of the Austin McMahon rivalry, which I would say is my favorite rivalry in wrestling. And that you really saw the most in 1998. You definitely saw in 1999, to be fair. But 1998, you get his WrestleMania win against Shawn Michaels, where you got Mike Tyson in there. The battling Kane, Undertaker, and you have the Zamboni. He goes to the ring. Stone Cold Steve Austin getting Vince McMahon arrested, as well as his stooges, his folks arrested. Arresting Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin being pissed, having the gun, but it's a fake gun. There goes the Bane and 316. I think that the year puts cement in Vince's car, his Corvette. Yes, you also have DX mocking the nation, The Rock is rising. Farouk, goodbye. I'm going to be Because The Rock, yes, The Rocky Maivia, Die Rocky Die, that was previously, but The Rock becoming his own. You also had The Undertaker versus Kane, them, their rivalry. That was also the year of King of the Ring, where Undertaker tossed Mankind off the top of the cell. And one of the most infamous parts, people to this day still remember Undertaker on top of the cell tossing Mick Foley off. And then that would lead to the beer truck and the WrestleMania against The Rock in 99. But in 1998, well, I'll be honest, years and years ago, I have the DVDRs that showcase that time span. And when I'm watching the Attitude Era again, it's been years since I've seen it. To be perfectly honest, I mean, yes, it's way better than the shit today. But there's a part of me is like, I'm really looking forward to the next Austin McMahon coming to blows, or Austin coming in and stunning everybody during the night just to piss off Vince. And you also had people like Ken Shamrock and The Rock versus Ken Shamrock. And there was still quite a bit of good stuff there. Mainly for me it was Austin versus McMahon, that rivalry, that versus with each other. You have the redneck but blue collar guy that a lot of people could relate to, who want to say fuck you to their boss, give a middle finger to their boss. And then Vince McMahon, how do you feel about the guy? He played that role perfectly at that time. Them having their first match, and wait a minute, Austin, you say you could beat me with one hand tied behind your back. So you don't want to do it? And like I said, that's what really, I do remember seeing that back in the day, and that brought me in and got me interested to see where is this stuff going. And in the stuff, the fucking Mark Henry with a transvestite, which I think that was a Russo idea. And not all of them were his ideas. I mean, the birth of the hand, where he's with Mark Henry's with Mae Young, this old lady, and gives birth to a hand. I don't think that was Russo's idea, but it's still a shitty idea. That's the thing. Like, the Attitude Era is fucking, yes, better than the shit we've seen in the past 20 years in WWF. But even then I'm going, I mean, I would say, if someone were to ask me what my favorite era of wrestling, it would be the mid to late 80s. Because you still had goofy stuff in it, granted, but it still felt like more of wrestling. I did, yes, I did have fun with ECW and the Attitude Era stuff. Maybe because I've gotten older, so the certain things just didn't hold up for me, like the DX stuff. And yeah, I love Pretty Girls. And like I said, that's better than the shit today. But I don't know, there's entertainment, there's wrestling. I don't know, which do I want more? And people go, whoa, AEW, you got wrestling. Yeah, but that's wrestling like you do 18 flips and 50 tables and 40 slams and no one feels a thing. Because no one sells. I hear you with 18 fantastic moves. Okay, alright. It's like, who can make the coolest move? I'm like, okay, it's cool. Kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters. But I don't want to see the Harlem Globetrotters every day. I don't know, maybe, Again, maybe it's all this combination why I don't really watch wrestling anymore. I really don't. Maybe I've just fallen out of love with wrestling altogether. Especially with the shit they do today, but maybe I've just fallen out of love of wrestling entirely. Maybe I don't want to say outgrown it, that's the wrong way to put it, but I don't know, just, the love just been kind of died down since I was a kid. I'm like, oh, Hulk Hogan. And I don't even like Hulk Hogan much nowadays. I have to watch his matches back in the day, they're like, whatever. But it just not have that childhood spark that it did when I was a kid. But yeah, it did to the point, 1998, the Austin McMahon rivalry, again, the stuff I mentioned, like the Zamboni to the ring, the thing that you use on the ice, he's driving it, he gets up, and he's like, he jumps over the crowd in order to specifically punch Vince McMahon, fuck Kane, fuck Undertaker, pa, 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 pa. The Undertaker, before that, because it was Undertaker and Kane versus Austin, you know, this match that was unfair, but because Vince McMahon hated, because when Austin won the title at WrestleMania against Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels at the time had a hurt back, I still thought it was a good match, but a lot of people said it wasn't so good because again Shawn was limited because his back was hurting. And stories is like he technically didn't want to win. I mean, he didn't want to lose. And the stories that Undertaker was watching behind the scenes, and if Shawn Michaels screwed up the match, he was going to take it to Shawn Michaels. But Shawn did what he was supposed to do. Mike Tyson was the referee, and you're wondering, is he going to turn? Nope, he did what he was supposed to. 1, 2, 3. Mike Tyson raises Steve Austin's hand in victory. And later Vince is like, hey, you're the champion. Come work with me. And then there's a point where Steve Austin comes out in a suit. You'll never see me in this shit again. He's throwing it. People like, yeah. And the crowds. I mean, I forget what date it was. Might have been 99. Was it 90? It might have been 99. It was when Mick Foley won the title against The Rock. And Steve Austin comes up with a chair. And he's hitting people in the head with a chair. And the crowd is so deafening, you swear you could hear the building shake. Like, that's how the crowds were back then. Because, again, as much as I don't like Russo, I give him his point. He had something to do with it. And yeah, I just don't think it's as much. I think more credit goes to the talent and presence of a McMahon and an Austin and a Rock and all these people, even Mick Foley, this great set of tools to build this structure that a lot of people enjoy to this day. And like I said, that's the stuff, when I think of the Attitude Era, that's the stuff I'm more towards. Not the Sable, take her clothes off. I'm like, cool. I could watch porn for that. Yeah, hot girls are cool, but it's like, okay. WCW had the Nitro Girls. Like, okay, it's cool. But that's not what I'm specifically looking for. But it's okay, cool. I mean, like the King of the Ring when Undertaker threw Mankind off that cell, I still don't know how Mick Foley's alive. Like, you watch it, and the way they had the camera and you see the height of it, he should be dead. Crippled. I don't know how the hell he did it. Fate and luck, I guess, is the biggest part of it. So yeah, that would be if I had to pick a year. But again, after that era, for me, people disagree. They love the ruthless aggression. They love that era. That's when I started checking out of wrestling. Because I don't like John Cena as well. I don't like him. I don't... People praise him so much. I never understood it. Didn't like him as a wrestler. Didn't like him as a promo. Didn't like him as a talent. I didn't think he had a presence. I didn't think he had much of a personality. The personality he does try to showcase, I thought felt fake and phony. Same with his promos. Could never get into John Cena at all. Not as an actor in movies, and not as a wrestler. And he was on top for so long. And again, that's when... And nowadays, I mean, you got... But you look at wrestling nowadays, the worst of back in the day is still better. Like, the WCW last 2 years is still better than the WWF and AEW of today. AEW with Twinkle Toes McFuck being the sweeper with his, Asian baby doll, fuck toys, wrestling blow-up dolls, McFingerbane, Harpo Marx motherfucker, Chris Jericho. Something's going on with him. He's becoming Steven Seagal. Now, I'm not one to talk. I'm just like, this is an observation. I don't know what happened to Chris Jericho. Because if you haven't seen Chris Jericho in a while, if you watch it now, you go, what happened? WWF, The Fiend, I mean, this whole movie matches, I'm not a fan of this shit. I'm like, if I want to watch a movie, just make a fucking movie. Why is this called wrestling anymore? It's not. It's like Vince McMahon and WWF, WWE, whatever. They, back in their heads, wish they were not wrestling. They'd just be, I don't know, be fucking a staged American Gladiators then. I don't know. Just make your fucking movies. Like, we don't make a movie each week. Just do that. Just say fuck it. Fuck wrestling. If that's what you want to do. Although I do like people like Bobby Lashley. I do like Bobby Lashley, but they ain't gonna do shit with him. I know he's a champion, but they don't fuck it up because they always fuck it up. Why they still haven't done a Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar? Fuck if I know. But anyway, going off topic. But just like the WWF, I remember they had a fucking bunny on the goddamn roster. A bunny. Yeah, stupid goofy shit in the early 90s, but at least that was consistent for the time where everything was goofy. So it's like it was a cartoon product, but everything was a cartoon product. Teal Hopper, the Goon, like it was everything. But here, you want to have a you want to have serious matches that people are ready to kill themselves and almost break their necks. Then 2 minutes later, he was a fucking zombie coming back, burnt like a crispy critter. And I'm like, you want people to kill themselves and supposedly real combat? Because we all know it's fake. We all know it's not real. That's not the point. The point is you want to try to make people escape and get sucked into it being real. Like a movie. You know a movie's not real either. But imagine you watch a Die Hard film, in the middle, John McClane goes to the camera and goes, "How you doing? You come to the coast? You want to have a few laughs?" And then goes back and does his movie To Be Continued. For good or bad, you were still buying into the fantasy of wrestling. Now it's like, we gotta break it every 5 minutes. Be like, what the fuck? Oh, a swamp fight where a guy got pulled to the water and eaten by a gator and blood's coming out, but then next week they're back and they're fine. my god. Like, what the fuck? I don't know, man. I don't know. This shit's just fucking... I don't know. But yeah, 1998 would be my pick. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.